Welcome to another exciting episode of the Founder Podcast. I'm the host, Magnus Olsen, and today my two co-hosts are sitting opposite me, and we're going to have a little conversation with Justin Hodges and Benny Maher. Welcome, boys.
Thanks, Magnus. How are you, mate?
Mate, I am very well, thank you. I just want to do a little bit of a proper intro for you because I think that your deserving career. So you're happily married, devoted family man, and proud father of two beautiful children. You've had an illustrious football career. You played 251 NRL games. You won 2 premierships, played 24 State of Origin games, 13 games for Australia. In 2007, you won the Dally M Award and Broncos top try scorer. You retired in 2015 and then you made your boxing debut in 2019, mate. That's pretty impressive.
Thank you, mate. Have you got one like that?
Yeah, I was going to say
that is all you.
I was going to say, what have you done, Benny?
Oh, mate, I can't match that.
No, it was impressive. Yeah, but obviously, the boxing was... obviously, it was a 4 or 5 year gap there because for 3 or 4 years I was second guessing myself about doing it, but I was fortunate enough to jump in there and have a go, so it was good.
Yeah, like fantastic, having a crack.
Having a crack.
All right, I'm going to fast forward to today, and you're at the moment, you work for Benny or with Benny, and you guys have commenced a school program called the Activate program. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, look, I'll kick us off. So Justin was... I reached out to Justin about 18 months or so ago, and we were looking for a bit of a flagship program to really underpin what we were doing at Full Spectrum Education and Health. And, Justin has an undeniable passion for working with kids. And, from that was born the Activate program. So definitely can't take credit for it. It's definitely a collaboration between the two of us. And, from my perspective, I'm excited for the listeners to hear today, to hear how it was formed.
Yeah, just to give a bit of context, obviously, when I finished playing rugby league, I was fortunate enough to work in education, so helping young people become better people. I think that's where, my story grew in terms of, education. I wasn't the best at education, but now I realise how important it actually is, and that's one thing that I drive home to my kids, and obviously the wife does as well, to how important of education is, and having that as your background, like whether you want to be a sports person or what, education is something that you can always fall back on if things don't go well. So obviously, me and Benny have teamed up, and mate, we just want to help as many young people as we possibly can. Like I'm sure he's the same as me. I got sick and tired of turning on the TV and seeing all these young people in trouble, or seeing the government putting up stats that our kids weren't good enough and all that. So, what are we actually doing about it? So we came together, mate, and he's obviously the brains behind everything. I just love going out, helping the kids, letting them know that it's okay. And look, a lot of kids come from different backgrounds. A lot of kids get told that they're dumb, they're stupid, you're not smart enough, you're not going to be good enough to play rugby league, you're not going to be good enough to be a doctor or own a business, whatever it may be. So we want to break that trend and build that confidence back up with those young people.
Yeah. Because I guess growing up, because there's a little bit of mentorship, is there? Did you have anybody when you were growing up?
Oh, look, not really. I think, apart from mum and dad, obviously, and my two brothers, obviously, mum was always our rock at home. She, and even today, she's still a very powerful figure in our family. And, I think, when I look back and I think about what she went through, when she had cancer and all that stuff, and the stuff that she battled, she really showed a tougher side than, some of us men are. Like, we carry on a better sore toe, or not enough sleep, but then you got a beautiful female like that fighting, a horrible disease, and showed me how to be resilient. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't have too many positive role models apart from, my immediate family, but it showed me incredible strength, and showed me that resilience is something that is not born in everybody. It's something that you've got to live through, experiences as well. And to have someone who's done that for a long period of time, they just built the resilience up in me that I just couldn't say no.
What about you, Benny? When you were growing up, did you have anybody that in that mentorship type role, or who played that for you?
Yeah, look, I think both my parents were inspirational in different ways, but I think definitely for me that was probably my dad. Very inspiring man, and I really wanted to follow in his footsteps. He's not with us anymore, but for me, I live every day trying to make an impact and trying to serve the community as best I can.
Yeah. What about, how have you seen the education system change over the last couple of decades since you finished school?
Unfortunately, it hasn't changed a lot. There's been minimal changes. There's a famous picture online of, I think it's Coca-Cola's innovation team from the 1970s until now, and or Nike. And there's a similar picture with Nike from their innovation team from the 1970s until now. And then the third image is the education system from the 1970s until now. And the first two images from corporate companies look chalk and cheese, the difference. And even from all of us here today, from our travels, you can picture what I'm saying. But a classroom, looks the same as it did in 1970 with a few little tech add-ons. And it really hasn't shifted that much.
What about the students?
Yeah, so idealistically, there is, principles around learning, and there's 9 styles of learning, realistically. Howard Gardner's multiple intelligences theorem is the foundation for all learning styles. So realistically, learning actually doesn't shift. However, that doesn't mean you can't enhance the environment. So for me, personally, without me getting on my soapbox too much, there really isn't an excuse to continue to enhance the environment for people that don't drastically shift outside of those learning styles.
Yeah, okay. What about, let's just make a switch to rugby league. That's obviously that game, the principles of the game and the rules of the game haven't changed too much, but the players and the fitness levels have dramatically changed, haven't they, since you've retired?
Yeah, look, obviously the game's gotten faster. The physicality of the game is not where it used to be, and that the rules slightly changed in terms of they're cutting down penalties. There's 6 to go, so start trying to speed the game up. So bring in the little guys where the little guys can start entertaining and stuff like that. Where back in the day it was more around physicality. You can look at some of the body shape of the players these days, where apart from Big Nelson and all that, there's not too many big boys these days. They're all trimmed right down, obviously, because they've got to play longer minutes and. Obviously, with the shorter interchange.
That's an interesting stat, isn't it? I didn't really realise how much of an impact, because you're 100% right. With that pace of the game, like if we touched on earlier off camera, the NFL, and you look at some of those players, but because they're able to just be on the field for 1 or 2 minutes for a play, they can have a certain body composition, whereas that player in rugby league isn't going to be able to last the 80 minutes.
No, exactly right. Like the athleticism of the rugby league players is, and even go to rugby union as well. Like you look at some of their front rowers compared to a rugby league front row, it's just totally different body shapes. Because obviously the game is so fast and so intense. Where like if you're unfit, well then you're costing your team an interchange early, and it's all about having enough interchange. There's only 8, so and mostly your backs. Your back row and your locks are out there nearly the whole entire game. So you're more or less just rotating your front rows around. So most guys, they get through about 20, 25, 30 minutes of work, and then they'll bring in, obviously, the bench will come in and do his job either 10 minutes before half-time and 10 minutes on the other side of half-time, and then obviously you want your starting pack back out there. So, like if you're carrying extra weight and you're not fit enough, where back in the day you could probably get away with it a little bit, but like I said, with the way the game is, the way it's sped up, it's when the little blokes come in. So they know when it's about 10 to 15 minutes either side, or if you've got back-to-back set of 6 or penalties and things ain't going your way, well, then the middles are going to get tired. So then they know the 9's going to come out, the half's going to come out, the fullback's going to come out and start ripping the game up.
Yep. No, very, very good point. You mentioned resilience before, and obviously what your mum has gone through. Do you think that's been an impact? Because you went through a horrific injury stretch during your career. Do you think that during that time, is that where you've built your resilience?
Yeah, look, 100%. I think, look back at all the injuries that I've had, they're all long-term ones, they required surgery and screws and plates and all that type of stuff. But, I remember when I first did my first knee and did it here at Suncorp Stadium, and I was, crying like a little girl, so to speak. But then realised again once, if I'm whinging about a knee when mum went through all that type of stuff, it didn't really maybe hit home for me, so to speak. Well, someone's, was 2 weeks away from dying, and I'm crying about a knee that had to get replaced. But yeah, when you look at it on the other side as well, like rugby league's our vehicle in terms of our body is our vehicle in terms of that's how we make our money. That's how we get paid through our body. So once your body breaks down, and you're not able to play, you're not able to train, you sort of go through a dark space because you're not out there. You see your mates laughing at training, you're sitting on a bike or sitting in a physio room, and then you turn up to Suncorp Stadium, there's 52,000 people there screaming, then you're sitting at home or sitting in the stands watching it, and you want to be out there more than anything. So there are some challenges that come with it, and that's where I 100% built my resilience up in terms of having that mindset of whatever happens for a reason, and you just got to rebuild your body and get back out there and toughen up.
Yeah, mate, well said. Ben, what's been some of the setbacks that you've obviously built a fair bit of resilience up yourself over the years? Are you able to share an experience that you've had in your life that's impacted your ability to be resilient?
I'm just pondering what I'd like to share.
I was just wondering if you're awake then.
I think from my perspective, whenever you make an error in judgment that you didn't see coming, regardless whether it's sport, personal life or business, it's really important to own why you made that mistake. So the reasons why you made it, and then do it better next time. So for me, I've made a mistake here with building the company, which I'm really proud of the fact that nationally we now service every major city in Australia, which is I'm very proud of. But, in terms of, when I was building that, I made a personnel mistake along the way. But I think it's really important for anyone listening to this podcast about thinking different, being different, acting different every day. It's not about making a mistake. It's when you make it, putting in place steps, actions, and even new processes so that you can't make that same mistake again.
Yeah, okay. Just elaborate a little bit on that. Think different, act different. What do you mean by that?
So as an example, right, if you have the ability to live, everyone talks about it, love what you do, you never work a day in your life. But how do you get to that? And it's about building a knowledge base. It's about having the ability to execute that knowledge base. And then on top of that, it's about having the resilience to be able to, keep moving forward when you doubt yourself. And then surround yourself with people that are like-minded and believe in the same vision, whether it's for the company, other individuals, or the community.
Yep. What about psychology? Because you're trained in that field, I believe, aren't you, Ben?
Yeah, so my background is education and psychological studies. So for sure, absolutely. And I think that from a psych perspective, a really, really important thing to do is make sure that you have daily practices. You focus on your daily behaviours. And I'm sure that some of us at this table who quote a lot of books, Magnus, I know you're a big reader yourself, quote a lot of books that all focus on daily behaviours. And when you listen to anyone that's successful, they all have the same repetitions. They might do different activities, but they all have reps that they do every day that they focus on and they believe in. And, even with Justin and his accomplishments, I'm sure he had routines that really brought him a level of success throughout his career that he believed in.
Did you have, I know sports psychs are really big in today's game. Were they big back in your day?
Yeah, there was a few. Phil Joyncey comes to mind. We've had him a fair bit. Obviously, Wayne Bennett was very close with him, and so we worked a lot on who we were as players.
Do you mind just touching on, because he's apparently got some views that not everybody agrees with, but those views have clearly led to a lot of success.
Yeah, he's not just in rugby league. He's in every sport. He's in cricket. It changes the mindset in terms of how you approach things, or like he does. You do like a couple of questionnaires and he figures out what you are. So I was always like Mozzie, they call it, where before a game I had to be talking, I had to be mucking around. Otherwise, for example, like if Benny was a person like a Shane Webke who had to sit there and I forgot, like he might have been like an enforcer or something like that, where you got to sit there and visualise what you're going to do. I couldn't do that. So some games before I found out that I was a Mozzie, where you got to be buzzing.
Buzzing around the place.
Yeah, you got to be buzzing. Otherwise, if you sit there and you're thinking about your game, you're going to have a bad game.
I love it.
So he identifies that. It's like cricket. He does things with cricket about visualising and keeping a positive mindset. So he has, he's been a big part of rugby league. Like you know, I've seen him for decades and decades and decades be a part of rugby league side. So I think his mindset and the way he does things is a lot of credibility there. He's a bit mad in his approach and how he talks. He's like, pass the ball. You know, that's how he talks. When it's like, holy hell, like. But that's the way. That's who he is. So
I understand his is all about actions.
Yes.
You know, and just can you elaborate on that a little bit for us?
yeah, so more like, for example, like say if for us as a rugby league player, so if you're going out there on a rugby league field and then you're sort of second guessing about where to put your head or what to do like that, so to just go with your gut instinct and go with what you've been born to do and put your head there or get the ball and do this and then keep trying it. So it's only when you start to pull yourself back out of it, that's when you start to break down. So he's a big believer in that type of stuff, and I think, like I said before, I think he still sits behind Wayne Bennett now in the games. I see him at the Redcliffe Dolphins this year, so I'm pretty sure he'll be down there at South Sydney as well. So look, Wayne loves him. Wayne's had a massive dealings with him, I guess. I've also seen him on a personal level as well when things weren't going so well in terms of my own sort of demons and stuff like that, so to speak. So he was really good, when things weren't going well on and off the field. He was a good person to talk to for me.
It's an amazing career because he's 77 years of age now and he's still very, very heavily involved, like you said, in a range of different sports.
I think he's just, like you said, it's passion. It's what motivates him. It's what drives him. And I think the satisfaction he gets when you can see him sit behind all the coaches that he's worked with, you can just see that he's looking for those little details, that he's gave tips to players, and you can see that that's what keeps him coming back, is that he can see that his work's actually working, because the reason why you go to him or someone goes, I'm lacking this, lacking that, and he goes, well, what's that? What's it look like? Tell me what's it look like. And you're like, I don't know, I'm just telling you how I feel, but it just sort of breaks everything down for you to make things a little bit just simplifies things, you know what I mean? As an athlete, you look at the big picture instead of looking at the little detail that's going to get you to where you want to get to.
Yeah. And Ben, so that some of that psychology and some of your training, is any of that been incorporated into this Activate program or the knowledge base?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, at the end of the day, the Activate program is built around kids becoming the best versions of themselves. But we don't only work with schools. We also work with businesses, and we also work with community and sports programs as well. And so it's about understanding that there's both the cognitive and the social and emotional aspects of, a person's makeup, and that basically you need to be able to work with great teams. So we run several businesses' wellbeing programs now, and it's about working with their teams to help incorporate what they need to be able to do to get the best out of their team. For principals or schools, it's about working with their annual improvement plans and helping them really target themes and issues within their school, whether they want to enhance them or improve them. And with, say, community groups, it might be about targeting a particular focus or initiative that they want to help with.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think the best thing about, like you said, when we decide to do this program and design it, is that we're going through the front door in terms of speaking with the leaders of the school, the principals. There's programs out there that I'm sure of that some of the principals don't even know what that program actually does in their school, right? So we don't want that. We want the buy-in from the leaders. We want the principals, to come and meet with us, tell us about their kids, because they obviously know their kids better than us, and then we design a program based on what their needs are. So, and we want to be part of that journey. We want to be part of the community. We all come from team sport, so that's the only thing we know how to work with. Yes, our sessions are mainly one-on-one. That's just to help the student become a better student, right? But a whole structure and everything is about being part of the community and being part of something that is going to motivate and help their young people become better.
Yep. Boxing mindset. So you retired from rugby league 4 years later. What on earth made you want to step into a boxing ring?
Look, I just grew up back home, obviously having two older brothers, getting punched around in the backyard with them. But watching boxing on TV with dad and stuff as well. And look, it's something, and like we just spoke about, having all those injuries as well. So if you're unable to use your legs, you still got your two arms to throw punches and stay fit. And obviously there's less pressure on your body as well. So I've always done it. Like I said, there's always a positive to a negative. So when I look at all the injuries that I've had, at least I've been able to keep boxing because that was what I was passionate about, what I've wanted to do, and I wanted to do boxing a little bit earlier than what I got into it. But yeah, the fear of doing it was probably the main thing that held me back for a long time. Like I said, it was, 4 or 5 years after retirement from league that I actually got into the boxing ring because of, you can do all the training in the world. And, my first fight was in Sydney where everyone hates me down there because I'm a Queenslander. But, I probably had nearly 10 fights, 20 fights going in before I got into the ring. But just that mindset, because everyone wants to see you get knocked out, especially no matter.
So could you describe that mindset for us? Is there a way of doing that?
Oh, look, yeah, it's hard. I think for me, when I was playing rugby league, when people were yelling out from behind the fence and calling your names or saying your name, even though it was negative, it means you're doing something right. You know what I mean? Like if no one's yelling out your name, no one's abusing you, it means no one really cares about what you're doing. You're obviously not doing your job.
You need to have some haters to fuel it.
Yeah, so that's something that I live like. That was like my fuel every time I played New South Wales. I just wanted to get under their skin. I just wanted to give them the finger and all that stuff. But it was just a way to motivate myself as well. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because you got all these people sitting over there that hate you. Well, there's nothing better than flogging their team and then sending them back home crying, and then we're leaving having a few beers happy. So that was always my motivation. Like, it's weird. Like I watched like the Michael Jordan documentary, Kobe Bryant, and how they speak about people that's influenced them sometimes. Like as you get older, it's hard to get up for certain games. You played an Origin match in front of 52,500 people here, or 80, or even 100,000 people in Melbourne when we played there. Then you come back and you play. Someone like the West Tigers or someone on a Monday night in front of 8,000 people and it's raining, like the motivation's not there to get up and play a game. So you need to self-motivate yourself. So it's whether, looking at someone in the crowd, hopefully they say something to you, then you just lock that person in, that gets you going. So those are the things I really enjoyed, and sometimes I had to use, to get myself up.
Yeah, okay. Benny, you any plans to step in the ring, mate?
No, mate, I'll leave that to Hodjo.
He should, eh?
What do you reckon? What do you reckon? Hodjo and Gal round 3? Any chance?
They fight. Him and Sonny Bill might be fighting each other.
Oh, that'll be an interesting matchup.
Okay.
What do you reckon? You reckon we'll get him in for one?
I reckon we should.
Would you be keen?
Mate,
do a corporate one.
Maybe me and
actually, I've got a good idea. Since this idiot lined us up to do the marathon, it's only right that I get him back and sign him up to do a corporate boxing event. I don't know. I just thought about it then.
Yep, I reckon that is a great idea, and we raise some funds for men's mental health.
Yeah, I agree,
mate. If you box, I will as well.
No. You sign me up to run the marathon. Now you're going to do this, and we're going to raise some good money.
Well, we'll have to talk about that one off camera, mate.
No, mate. Is that a yes?
Oh, we'll review that off camera, my friend.
He's up for a challenge, Benny. I reckon he's up for it.
Mate, we're talking about helping people.
Absolutely.
That's our goal in life. So sign up.
As I said, mate, I will discuss with you off camera.
Did I discuss it off camera when I had you telling me that I had to run a marathon? I said, yep, okay, let's do it.
So does that mean you'll box with me? Maybe we should.
I don't have to. I've done my fighting.
Maybe we should box each other.
No, that won't work out.
that won't end well for you.
No, it won't work for one of us because all of a sudden it'll turn into like, okay, we just got more. All it takes is someone to go one bag punch and then she's on.
Benny, you played rugby league to a reasonable level. Is that correct?
I did, mate. I did, but nowhere near Hodges level. But I did enjoy the game. Yep.
Okay. So you've done that level of training in rugby league. How do you compare the training that you had to do for boxing?
Oh, boxing is much harder. I think I always explain it like if you have a bad day in league, right, or you have a bad day at training, it's all right. You get to come back next week, but then also you got 16 other mates on the football field that can carry you one day. If you wake up, you're not feeling 100%. There's always ways around. Your performances sometimes it might vary, but you're not gonna get hurt. Where if you go in a boxing match and you're not fit enough and you're not feeling like you should, you're going to get hurt. And I think that's probably the best advice I'll give anybody if they're doing any sport. Obviously train your hardest and prepare, but boxing's a different beast. Like we're only talking about the other day about sparring, the quality of sparring, and like I said to him, right, I said, well, imagine like you're going into a fight and all of a sudden you get to the ring and you think, hang on, I have not prepared properly. Like my sparring was only at 50% of what I should have done 100%. Like, and all the boxers always talk about, train hard, fight easy. That means that inspiring, mate. They just it's like a fight. It's worse because then when they get to the fight, they're ready for it. So, yeah, boxing is probably the hardest thing I've ever done in terms of physically draining your body. Like but then built on top of that is the emotions and the excitement and the fear. Like, the endorphins you get from after a fight, mate. You can't sleep for days. Like you're up, you're bouncing. It's like ridiculous.
Yeah. So you reckon Benny about to handle the training?
I don't know, but he needs to do something because I'm going to sign him up for a fight. I think we have to. I think if we can raise some good money, he's got to get in there, mate.
Yep. I actually did a...
Sounds like we should get M26 Fit to sponsor.
That could be on the cards. Yeah. But, I'm a believer. Okay. Critics, haters. How do you guys deal with those?
Look, obviously, dealing with them in the public eye, I don't have any experience with that, but, Hodge can obviously answer that. But in terms of, people, one of my coaches says to me, he says, people will only ever tell you what you can't do. They'll never tell you what you can. Another one that I'm sure has been said by a lot of people is you'll never meet a naysayer that's doing better than you. All right, and they're two big things I believe in. And if I think about all the mentors and role models that I have in my life right now, not one of them that's a naysayer is doing, is doing better than me. Because at the end of the day, people who are thriving and thinking different, being different, and acting different in their life, and they're feeling fulfilled, they actually don't have time to naysay or be negative towards anyone else. So if you're listening to this podcast, again, not to sound soapboxy, but please, listen to those people around you, get a good support network, and really go after what you want to do, whether that's academia, whether that's sport, whether that's business. Just believe in yourself. And, Hodge can obviously share what that feels like in the public eye, but from a personal perspective, just don't give those people the time of day.
Yep. Yeah. What about as a teacher? Because I think nowadays, when I look back when I went to school quite a long time ago, and probably the same for you, Hodge, that now with social media, once the teacher and once a student left the classroom, you're at least not contacted by anybody till the next day, and then you had weekends, you had holidays. But my understanding is now, just with how rife social media is, and obviously some parents think that it's the teacher's responsibility to raise the children. So how does the teachers and some of your tutors, for example, deal with that criticism aimed at teachers in today's world that is different, I guess, from back a long time ago?
I can just give one piece of advice to anyone who's in education or in health or well-being or anything, or looking to get into the space. Focus on the relationship. That's it.
Yep.
If you focus on the relationship and you get rid of the noise I was conducting an interview yesterday and I did a role play with a potential staff member and I showed them what it looks like to, stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself. I'm sure Hodges has done that many times in the boxing ring.
Just
or in
elaborate,
the
just explain that for the listeners. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, okay. So when you are trying something new, you're doing something for the first time, conquering a fear, you will hear this voice from within, or a lot of people will, and it'll tell you that you can't do it. Because the reality is 3/4 of our thoughts daily before we reset our body clock are negative. So if we can reset and adjust that body clock daily, we can then regenerate and regurgitate that voice into something productive.
Yep, into a positive.
Yes.
Yep. What about you,
Well
Hodge?
said, mate.
How do you deal, and how did you deal with the haters back in the day? You mentioned earlier that fueled you,
Yep.
but were there some moments that off the field when you were receiving criticism, how that affected you and how you dealt with it?
Yeah, look, to be quite honest, Magnus, I think for me, I never let it get to me. I think, I wasn't a big believer in social media and all that type of stuff because I just thought, well, if someone hasn't got the guts to say it to your face, then why are you letting them in? Why are you letting them? Don't entertain them on a platform where it could be anonymous, it can be anybody. And that's the way I've always lived my life, and I tell my son that way. I said, mate, unless someone's got something to say bad about you, or they got to tell you how shit of a play that you played, or especially these days with the amount of money that people gamble on NRL as well, and then super coach and all that stuff. You know, like there's so many super coaches we had that's given us a lot of stick along the way. You know, oh, you're shit. You shouldn't have passed this. You cost me points. I'm like, man, I'm not out there for your super coach. Don't put me in your team. So that's how I've always dealt with it. I just thought, you know what, but there's a reason why they're sitting at home watching it, or they're sitting behind the stands watching, because obviously they never had the courage to give it a go themselves, or you know, they're just one of those people who just like to easily criticise people because that's what they're good at, and they found what they're good at. That's criticising. That's where I'm just like, well, you sit over there and you can criticise me. That's fine, but when you pay your ticket, you're putting money in my pocket anyway. So I thank you for paying for me to play. So that's how I've always approached it. I never really.
It's a great way to look at it.
Yeah, like I was always smart. Like just, hey boys, you're paying for me to play today, so just sit back and watch. It's fine.
There's that other saying that the loudest boos always come from the cheapest seats.
Exactly right. But I think that's how you got to approach it. Like, yeah, you see a lot of people that get torn to shreds. You know, like even Beyonce and Taylor Swift and like all these big. Like people that millions and millions of like my daughter loves all those like singers, but then you got people that are bagging them. It's like, well, why are you bagging them? They're successful. They give back to people.
Absolutely.
Like I'm a big fan of Shaquille O'Neal. Like the stuff that he does, and he's actually does things with his kids. Like I think there's a funny story around something about his son said something one day. Oh, Dad, you know we're rich. He goes, no, you're not rich. I'm well off. If you want money, you go and earn your money. But then he'll go out and buy some family a car who are struggling and buy other people things. So like
biggest purchase in Walmart history.
Yeah,
vouch for that.
Yeah. So when I see things like that, that's when I look at the positives, things like that, who actually do good things. Instead of, I don't waste my time with people who just want to criticize people and bring people down because other people have done well in their life. Like who cares if they're the best singer, best basketball player, best doctor? That's good. That's because they worked hard. They didn't get there for a reason. So don't let. So that's what I believe in, mate. I just don't let people bring you down to their level.
Yeah. Well said. We're going to jump into the quickfire questions. I'm going to bounce these around. I'm going to decide which one I'm going to ask, and I'll start with you, Benny. What gives you inspiration?
Other people that I'm around that are living their best daily life and truly living their why.
Hodjo, toughest player you ever shared the field with?
I'll say Greg Inglis. He was very, very hard to tackle some days.
Childhood idol, Benny? Oh, that's a tough one, actually.
Me?
Maybe. Depending if you won the fight or not. You know what? Come back to me on that one.
Your most memorable fight?
Look, would have been the Paul Gallons fight. I think getting to that level, like I always take my hat off to Gall. Like the people that he fought to get to where he got to, that was always me saying, "Oh, I'm going to fight him. But then I had to work hard to get there. So fighting Gall twice was, my most memorable.
He's a great competitor.
He is, mate. And I was fortunate enough to share the ring with him twice. So definitely.
Yeah. Benny, this kind of makes me laugh a little bit, but a song that you must sing along to.
Oh, well, let me answer the previous question first. The role model or someone inspired me from my childhood would have to be my dad, absolutely,
okay.
Now that I think about it. And then the song that I reckon, I'm going to say it, guys, because there's two types of people in this world, people that love Nickelback and people that lie to themselves about loving Nickelback.
What song do they sing?
It's probably Animals by Nickelback.
Okay.
Boys, if you haven't heard it, get on board.
What do you think your greatest achievement was in your sporting career?
Just living out my dream and making it. I think, I had a dream as a young kid to chase it, and I got there.
Yep. Benny, what do you struggle with?
Not being enough.
The best thing about being in your 40s?
That's definitely for Justin.
Oh, that's a hard question. That
was a good one though, Madness.
That's a tough one. Apart from getting grey hair, just the life lessons that I've learned. I think I'm wiser. Obviously a little bit grumpier, but look, I've really enjoyed what I've been able to achieve in my life, and still only be 42. A lot of good things I still want to do.
Yep. How are the Broncos going to go this season? I'll let either one of you answer.
I'm going to assume that's for the big man over there.
Oh, look, I think they've got all the talent out of anyone in a competition. The talent's there, the roster's there. You know, they brought in a new coach who's got a very, very hard edge in Madge. So it comes down to the players and their accountability and what legacy they want to leave behind. You know what I mean? Like these opportunities that these guys have got in front of them, you know, to earn the money that they've got, but to change people's lives, but also change their own life in terms of, you know, being a successful player. I think, mate, I think they could win the comp easy. If they all put their body on the line and come together as a team, and that's what it takes, a team, they could win the comp quite easily.
All right, you heard it here first. This one's for Benny. Favourite food?
KFC.
Yeah, it's definitely up there. Oh, I reckon lasagna. My wife's lasagna.
And who do you reckon the best current NRL player is?
Oh, Nathan Cleary, without doubt. I think, yeah, you only got to look back. Was he won four out of the 5 grand finals? And yes, I know it takes a team to win it, but without him, they don't win it. There's no way in the world.
Instrumental in each one of those.
And even the game against the Broncos, like 16, 14 points up, the game's over. But then all of a sudden he just steps up and then does what he does. So definitely have to say him.
All right, last question. I'll get both of you guys to answer this one. What's the most useful advice that you could give any one of our listeners out there?
Believe in yourself.
For me, it's, obviously believe in yourself, but then, you know, live in those daily behaviours and habits in terms of, if you've got something in life, like I said, whether you want to be a sports person or whatever, have good people around, have a clear picture of how you want to do it and how you want to get there. And that, you know, yes, there is going to be hurdles along the way. There's going to be people that are going to bring you down. Just keep a clear vision of what you want to do. And then later on in life, when you reach what you want to reach, you can look back and laugh at those people.
Yeah, I just add one thing to that, I think, is just to be yourself as well. I think that people not try and be somebody that you're not. You are who you are, and believe in yourself, get that right group around you, and you will achieve anything. Great having a conversation, boys.
Thank you, mate. So
All right.
Thanks for having us.
We just got to sign the big fella up now for the fight. I'm onto that now,
mate.
actually.
I'm looking forward to it.
I'm ringing promoters. I'm ringing promoters when I go.
As long as we've got the main event with me.
No, you are the main event.
Thanks for having us, Madness.
I'm retired, mate.